Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and real warm welcome if you are new here and it's your first time stopping by. My name is Gemma and I have an 18-month-old son called Oscar. Currently we live in Dubai, but as you can see from behind me we have a very empty house because we're about to make a move to Ireland, and in fact by the time you watch this video we will already be in Ireland. And when I announced this on my Instagram to my followers over there, I got lots of DMs asking if I would make a video on how I'm going to entertain Oscar on a long haul flight. So this is the video. I'm going to show you around 10 activities, but actually with the resources I'm going to show you, you could definitely turn it into more, but 10 specific activities I think. It might be 11 actually. But I'm going to show you lots of different things that you can take on a flight. My stipulations for entertainment on a flight are that they are easy to carry, so that they're light and that they're not bulky, because obviously you've only got a limited amount of carry-on luggage, and that they are entertaining, clearly that's really important, and that they don't make noise. So I'm going to show you these activities in a minute, but I'm just going to show you what they look like packaged up so that you can see the space that you're going to need. So I just bought one of these zippy plastic bags to keep everything in, and this is the content. So this is hopefully going to entertain my toddler on the flight. So as you can see, it's not too bulky, it's actually really, really light. There's lots of bits in there as you can see. So that's all the entertainment items, and then of course I haven't included in there books. I'm taking 3 books, I think. We do have a few more, but these are his favourites and these are the ones that we do lots of talking about. I think the best thing when you're thinking about which books to take is books that you can read but have lots of additional things to talk about. So like this is a favourite and a classic, Each Peach, Pear, Plum. But because the illustrations, you know, there's lots of different things in the illustrations that we can talk about. Actually reading the story takes longer than physically reading the story because we spot things and we talk about things in the picture. The same with Dinner Sid. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I'll link all these books below. But there's lots of, the illustrations are beautiful and there's lots of things to talk about. And this is a new addition to our collection, and Oscar absolutely loves this, which is great because we've just bought him a yellow coat for Ireland because obviously he doesn't have a coat in Dubai. And he will now put it on because Ed in this book wears a yellow coat. But the illustrations are beautiful and lots of things to talk about in them. So that's the stipulation for me for books. So this is what we're taking on the flight for Oscar, and I will just now show you in more detail the specific activities. In that A3 plastic zip bag is one of these little sewing kit, fishing tackle boxes, whatever you call them. Basically a plastic box that has compartments inside. So this is what I'm taking pretty much for all the like loose bits that are going to be involved in the activities that I'm about to show you. So these are really handy, super thin, but will help to kind of categorize all the things that you're going to need for the activities. And then obviously you can use different things to make even more activities that I'm not mentioning. So yeah, definitely get yourself one of these as well as the big A3 zippy bag. Okay, so the first activity is Play-Doh. Maybe slightly unconventional, but really, really entertaining for a toddler. So I'm not taking very much. I'm using one of these Ziploc bags, and in it is like a hand-sized piece of Play-Doh. I will link I'll write down in the description box my recipe for Play-Doh if you don't know how to make your own Play-Doh, but you could buy it just as easy. But yeah, so just a piece of Play-Doh. Obviously they're going to have the tray available to them so they can make things on there. And then thinking about things that they can use to manipulate the Play-Doh, I'm just including a plastic spoon and fork that, you know, they can poke it, whatever. And some drinks lids. Now obviously you could use the ones that you get on the flight, and there's probably lots of other things you can find that you could use to, like, as little makeshift cutters. Obviously ideally you don't want anything actually sharp because you're not going to be able to get it through security. So yeah, it's just Play-Doh, and you can find things from around your house that you can pack in there to manipulate with the Play-Doh. So activity 1 is a little bit of Play-Doh and some cutters. Okay, activity 2 is cupcake cases and loose parts. What child does not like taking all the cupcake cases apart and putting little bits and pieces inside, particularly if they're in the containment schema, if you've watched my video. So I'm going into my little plastic box for the resources for this activity. So in it, I've actually bought silicone cupcake cases, and these are like the mini muffin size because you don't need massive ones. Equally, they could be the paper ones. That might even be more fun because of the crinkly noise, but they might get then squashed and then that's them gone. So yes, just being able to take these apart. I mean, then you could even do little activities where you stack them. I'm just coming up with more things, but yeah, this activity is taking out the cupcake cases and then putting loose parts inside. In my little case, I've got wooden buttons, so you can put some buttons inside, lay them out, transfer them. You could take one of the pieces of cutlery from your tray or the spoon from the Play-Doh activity and get them to spoon things. Obviously, a bit of a pain if they drop them, but just don't give them too many. Just give them 5 or 6 and they can move them across from one case to the next, stack them up, close them up. You know, there's lots of things that you can show them to make that even more fun. Okay, next up probably isn't groundbreaking activity, but I do have a couple of tips. So I'm going into my plastic case again to get out some crayons. And this is a colouring activity. So make sure that your crayons fit your container. So what I would suggest is get the container, then get your things so that you know everything's going to fit. So these are like small stubby crayons. They're about the size of my little finger, and so they fit nicely in the compartment. It came in like a set of 20, so I've just picked out the main colours so that it fits nicely in my container. I'm a little bit OCD about the container actually, aren't I? But it just makes it so much easier on the fly if everything's super organised. So crayons and then a colouring book. Try and obviously find a colouring book that is super thin and light and is about something that your child is interested in, so that they're actually going to be intrigued to want to have a look at it. So just as I was saying about the books that we're taking, it's something that's going to have lots of things in it, so we can talk about it. It doesn't just have to be about colouring, but we can colour and also come up with a story about cement mixers and whatever. Oscar is obsessed with vehicles, which I think most toddlers are because they see them all the time. So this is a vehicle colouring book in Japanese, so you know, who knows, we might pick something up as well. Okay, next up is Post-its. I don't think there's any child on earth that doesn't love Post-its, but correct me if I'm wrong. So again, going into my little box, and what I found, and most of the things here I got in Daiso, if you're familiar with Daiso, which is like a Japanese cheap shop that we have in Dubai, and I think they have it in lots of other countries, but a pound shop or a dollar store would have these sort of things. So I just got a set of like these little page marker Post-its, because again, I'm thinking about size. It doesn't need to be big, we're not writing on them. So these little page marker Post-its, and then also these ones. So they're like the little plasticky ones. These are the paper ones, plasticky ones. I just got 2 different kinds because, you know, that's more fun. And this is just about sticking them all over your space, and they can peel them off or try and find them, or you could talk about the colours. Can you find a red one? Can you find a pink one if your child's at that stage? Oscar is just beginning to get interested in colours, and so far purple, orange and red he's gravitating towards, and he kind of knows those colours. So, you know, a bit of learning can happen on the plane. We can talk about colours and just go about picking them off different parts of the plane, different people, putting them on our noses, you know, making some bit of fun with Post-its. Okay, activity 5, I believe we're on, is lolly sticks with Velcro dots. So this is a little bit of a DIY that you need to prepare in advance. So get yourself some of these lolly sticks. They don't need to be coloured, but they can be. Makes, I don't know, more interesting. And then Velcro dots. My Daiso didn't have Velcro dots, but it had like big pieces of Velcro, and I just cut them into little squares. So you just put the hook on one side and the loop bit on the other side of each stick, and do that for a selection. I think I've done like 8, 10 of these. Not too many, not going to take up too much space. And then Oscar's already had a go at these, which is the one thing I haven't mentioned, is don't let your child see any of these activities before the flight, because otherwise then they're not new and not exciting and interesting. So yeah, don't do what I've done and give him these activities beforehand. I've only given him this one actually. But so yes, they can stick things and pull them apart. If you've got a toddler like Oscar, who just loves pulling things apart, so he likes taking lids off pens and things like that, this is why it was okay for me to give it to him, because I know that he's still going to be interested when we get to the flight. And then you can actually, you know, make big shapes, you know, and do different things. And also unpacking a little die-cast car, so we can have a little track for the car to go around and we can make things with it. Oscar actually really enjoys putting these over his head or on his arm as well, and carrying them around and seeing, you know, making like a bit of a necklace. So there's lots of different things you can do with these, and that's what I love in an activity. So yeah, number 5, lolly sticks with Velcro. Activity 6 is probably the bulkiest activity, but you probably might be able to do it in a less bulky way. So I'll explain. I've bought a plastic bottle because this activity is about putting pom-poms in a bottle, which is super fun. If you've done that with your child already, they will really enjoy that. So I just bought a load of pom-poms and a bottle to pop them into, and then tip them out and do it again. The reason why I bought the bottle is because I thought, you know, I'll just use the bottle that I'll have on the flight. But then the problem potentially is, and I've had this before, is we get all the pom-poms in, but the lid, the opening to the bottle is too small to get them out. And that's, you know, you're going to come a bit of a cropper when you can't get any of the pom-poms out. So I didn't want to risk it. So I'm just taking this plastic bottle, but we can reuse it in the future. You know, it's just a plastic bottle. But I chose one that was like this kind of milk bottle shape, so it's got the bigger opening. So up to you whether you know that there is a certain bottle and the size of pom-pom that you know that you can get on the other side, or you can get at the airport, that's going to work, so then you wouldn't need to take this bit. So plastic bottle and pom-poms. Now, to add to the interest, I also purchased one of these pill pots. So it's like the Monday to Sunday kind of make sure you take your pills container. But again, if you've got a child that likes opening things, these are real fun, and you can then use this container and do different activities with it. So you could take the buttons from the cupcake activity and do that into here as well. So as you can see, I've just kind of matched the colours to, mine has colours on the top as well. So again, it's an activity that you can do about colours. There's lots of different elements here. It's not specifically just this one activity. So it's about opening up the pom-pom container and then popping them into here. Again, you could, depending on your age of your child and you know what stage they're at, you could ask them things like green, or you know, I choose a colour that begins with B, and they've got to find the blue one. Again, it's up to you and where your child's at to make it you know, different levels. So yeah, opening up the container, getting the pom-pom out. I've shoved 2 in there, so again, it's working on that pincer grip, and then popping them into here until we fill it up, and then we can tip them out and then go back the other way. So matching the colour pom-poms to the colour on the top. If yours doesn't have colours on the top, you could just get coloured stickers and put them on. Up to you, whatever you want to do. Again, you don't really need this container, but it's just an added interest. And the bottle, like I said, you could get one on the other side if you can guarantee it's going to have the correct opening. Okay, activity 7 is using airflow golf balls. I'm just going to show you how they're being stored in my package of items. I actually put them in the plastic bottle from the previous activity. So this is how I keep them all together in that activity. So they are the airflow golf balls, which again, I got from Daiso. They're basically those practice golf balls that people use, plastic with holes in them. You can use it for a threading activity. So get yourself some, what are they called? Pipe cleaners. And depending on your child's threading ability and their age, they can actually thread the pipe cleaners through the holes in the golf ball. Slightly easier challenge is to get straws instead of the pipe cleaners, because they don't bend as easily, and use straws to poke through. Or even easier, if your child's just not at that level yet, you can thread the ball and then they can pull them out. Okay, the next activity is very simply stickers. So you can pick up stickers really, really cheaply. I got these button ones, and I got some monkey and bananas. Oscar's favourite thing is bananas, so I'm hoping this isn't going to then make him want to eat bananas constantly throughout the flight. Try to limit him to one a day. But children love taking stickers. Now, depending on your child's age, you might need to put it on their finger, and then they can stick it. Now, probably best to have somewhere to stick them. So I've just bought this, I found the smallest, lightest sketch pad. So again, we can use it with the crayons for drawing if we want to, but the aim was to use it with the stickers, so peeling all the stickers off and just putting it into the sketch pad. It seems simple, but toddlers love this sort of thing. Again, you can put it on your nose, or you can put it on your fingers and have one on each finger. There's lots of adapting of the sticker activity that you can do, but super cheap, super easy, but will keep them entertained for a little while. Stickers, sketch pad, done. Right, next activity is using one of these spice containers, and by that I mean one of these containers where you kind of swizzle the top and you get different sized openings. They're kind of a big size, and then, you know, it's basically to shake out spices or whatever. And then a selection of things to thread inside it. Now, this was kind of a bulky item, so you might choose not to do this because it's, you know, not exactly space saving. But for me, I know that it's going to really entertain Oscar because it's exactly at his level at the moment. He's really enjoying putting things into containers, particularly if it's a bit more of a challenge. So having the different size holes, I think it's going to entertain him for a good bit. When I say a good bit, I'm talking minutes, right? And then I found just a load of different things that I could fit into those holes. So I chose wooden skewers. Yes, they are sharp, yes, they are pointy, but you're going to be in a confined space, you're going to be supervising your child. There's no risk to, you know, an activity is only dangerous if it's not supervised correctly. So wooden skewers, the super skinny pipe cleaners, and the really thin straws. I just got a mixture of all of those, and then I've cut them down to size so that they fit into my jar particularly. Okay, the next activity is super simple, and I'm going back into my plastic box for this, and I'm getting out a padlock and a key. If you haven't done this with your child yet, it's a great activity for toddlers, even if they're not on a flight, as are all of these activities, I guess. But yeah, get a kind of big padlock. Obviously this is going to be a bit weighty, so if you're stuck for weight, maybe not this activity, but we're fine. But the chunkier the easier. And then keys. All these keys work on this lock, but you could have a bit more of a challenge if you've got an older child. You could have a couple of different locks, and obviously like 3 different locks and 3 different keys, and they've got to match them. But for Oscar's stage at 18 months, just managing to get the key in the lock is the challenge, and, you know, opening it and closing it. So he actually has had this activity already, and if you've watched my Montessori Valentine's activities, this was one of them. So he's actually done this before, but I've now taken it away for a couple of weeks, so again it'll be fresh when we do the flight. And that's a good thing to remember, that if there's an activity that you want to take on the flight that your child's already done, just don't do it for a couple of weeks before the flight, and it'll be fresh and new again. Okay, this is actually activity 11, so bonus. I'm going into my box of tricks for this. This is getting a new name every time I use it. Box of tricks, I quite like it. And in it, I am picking out a little board rubber and some chalk. I've actually got 4 different colours in there. And within my little plastic pack, I also have a chalkboard. I did notice, we already had this one, but when I was shopping in Daiso for bits and pieces for this, they actually do like A5 size as well. So if you're stuck for space, that's probably a good one. Or you could get a mini whiteboard, whichever you prefer. So yeah, so just chalkboard, chalk, rubber, and you can do, you know, little silly faces and drawings, just another way to entertain them other than the crayons. Okay, this is the last activity. It is activity 12, and we're going back into this box for the last time to pull out a little roll of washi tape. Now, washi tape is basically like any kind of sticking tape, masking tape. It's generally coloured or decorated in some way, but unlike sellotape, it's really easy to rip off sections, so you don't need to use your teeth, which I hate doing, and you don't need scissors or anything. Obviously you can't take them on a plane. So using a little roll of this washi tape, Attach a few items to either, I'm using the back of my chalkboard here, or you could use parts of the plane. And the idea is that your child has to pick at the tape to pull it off and get the item from underneath. So if you've got a toddler, you'll know that they love anything sticky generally, and having to pick at something to get it off. They'll generally do that to things they're not meant to pick at, but this is an activity where they can. And so you can, set this up for them, and they can go about, taking the tape off and getting the thing from underneath. You could even do this with snacks or things like that to add a little bit of entertainment to that part of the flight as well. That is the end of this week's video. I'm going to put a full shopping list in the description box below for all the items that I've mentioned, and I will try to find links on Amazon to them for those of you that can't find these things elsewhere. So thank you for watching this week's video, and I really hope that you will subscribe to my channel and come back and watch next week's video. Bye!